Welcome back to the Tamiya 1/350 scale HMS King George V series, and in this episode we're going to be starting the kit, and we'll begin with the deck guns. But before that, I want to show you what's happened off camera, starting with the display stand, which has cleared both of the spray. And then we have the deck, which I've almost completely prepped for the wood deck overlay. As you can see, I've removed a large portion of the deck items to be replaced once the wood decks are in place. And you can see that the wave brakes still need to be removed, and the anchor areas I'm leaving as they are, as the resin parts in the Pontos kit are not really good enough to go on the model, in my opinion. In the last episode, I dry fitted the degarrison cables, and I'll be gluing them in place before the decks go on, ready for painting and priming. So let's get on with today's episode, and we're going to be building out the deck guns with the Pontos kit replacement parts. I've gone ahead off camera and put together the two parts that form the gun barrels for the deck guns, and these will replace the plastic kit parts, as you can see here. And I've finished off the barrels for the smaller guns and one of the 4 barrel sections. It will need a bit of modification before it's finally fitted, but as you can see, it's already given the structure a lot of stability. I've done 3 barrels for the other 4 barrel deck gun, and I'll show you how with the final barrel parts. This method I used for these parts, as they are solid brass, is called brazing. For this you'll need tweezers as the brass gets very hot, a wax pencil for placing the solder, flux, solder and a torch. The first step is to apply flux, and you need to put this just where you want it for the solder to flow in to make a good join. In this case, we want the solder to flow between the barrel and the base and into the hole in the base. And it doesn't hurt to apply flux to both surfaces, but make sure you don't overdo it. The flux will also keep the pieces together, so you can go ahead and place a barrel in the base. Then snip off a tiny piece of solder. It needs to be no more than you need for a good joint. Use the wax pencil to place the solder onto the joint. Like so. Then use the torch to melt the solder. The solder will first turn into a bubble, and then almost straight away you'll see it sucked into the joint where you place the flux. Once it cools, it can be joined to the other barrels. You might need to make a few tweaks, as sometimes it might not go in straight. So now all the barrel sections are done, we can go ahead and remove the kit parts. And you can put these finished parts away for now. And you can see I've marked a drawer with the part name rather than part numbers. And don't throw away the kit parts if they're no longer needed, just in case you lose parts and have to revert to the original kit pieces. Here you can see that I've labelled up a baggie with the kit parts, and that will go on the pegboard to the end of the build, just to be on the safe side. And that's the barrels all completed, so we can now move on to the photo etch sections that will go onto the main body of the guns. Okay, so off camera I've gone ahead and fitted some more minor parts to the deck guns, and also put together some of the photo etch pieces. This photograph shows the pivot points for the up launchers that I fitted by drilling a hole and then supergluing one in place for each of the up launchers. I also fitted the remaining kit parts that go on the side of each of the deck guns. And I've also superglued in place photo etched ladders on both sides of all three guns. There's 4 up launchers in total. 3 are fitted atop the deck guns, while a 4th is fitted on its own pedestal, shown here, and that goes on the main deck at the stern. Each of the up launchers on the deck guns has a splinter guard that needs to be bent into shape. And in order to shape it correctly, Pontos have provided a template that can be used in the bending process, and once bent it can be strengthened with a bit of solder in each of the bends. The next part to put together is the up launchers. Each up launcher comprises of 4 parts: the main body, the launch tube, and 2 barrel sections. We can start the up launcher by first bending the launch tube into a square shape and soldering the bottom join. The next part is the main body of the up launcher. This is quite a complex fold, so care needs to be taken in order not to break bits off through metal fatigue if you have to rebend it multiple times. I found the easiest way to do this was by bending at one fold point at a time and soldering it in place. And to ensure the bends were exactly 90 degrees where needed, I used a 2-inch engineer square prior to soldering in place. The main housing should look like a little house with a short piece out to the side. And once you're happy, the launch tube can sit at an angle in the recessed part in the middle of the base and be fixed into place. Lastly, fit the two barrel sections on the top and bottom of the launch tube, and the up launchers are finished. The next part should be fitting these tiny fillets to the splinter guards, but I'm not going to be using them as they're so small. When glued or soldered into place, they'll not look good due to their size, so I'm not going to even attempt to put them on. And the final piece of the photo etch jigsaw is this bracket section that, when bent into shape, fits up inside the turret to keep the barrels in place. Before bending, I annealed the metal, as they were quite springy due to the large flat shape. Take care when annealing, because the metal can stay hot for quite a while, so be careful not to burn your fingers. They bend into a U shape with the lip at the front that sits under the barrels, and feet that bend outwards to go around pegs moulded into the roof of the turret. And once they're in place, they'll keep the barrels where you want them to be, and it's usually between a 10 and 15 degree angle. Then just bend the ends up to form an open top box type shape. And that's all the parts for the deck guns completed, but I'm not going to put them together till after painting, as the barrels on the top of the turrets are going to be a different colour to the main body of the deck gun. As you can see from this photograph, there's a difference between the kit build and the Pontos set, and it's quite a significant change. But it does add a lot of detail to the build. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. And I'll see you for part 4, where we'll be doing the 5.25 inch deck guns. So I hope you join me then.